The MCU, aka Marvel Cinematic Universe, is one of the most complex, well-organized, and enormous film franchises ever created. There are many moving components to keep track of over numerous phases, individual character sequels, and 4 Avenger films, so it's not surprising that a few mistakes were made along the way. As much as they enjoy the movies, some of the most ardent MCU fans are also quick to point out its flaws. Stick around to find out some of the biggest mistakes in Marvel's movies that fans have spotted. First, the Avengers End Game outrage. Fans were eagerly anticipating the release of every piece of information about Avengers End Game. Fans, on the other hand, were outraged when the poster was revealed, and understandably so. Of course, the cast is massive, and they managed to cram 13 characters onto it. However, they only put 12 names on the list. Danea Gurira's was nowhere to be found. Marvel eventually realized their mistake, but not before Twitter ridiculed them. Marvel quickly responded with a new poster on Twitter, writing, "She should have stayed up there the whole time. Check out the Avengers Endgame poster from Marvel Studios." They use the hashtag Wakanda Forever and tag Gurira's Twitter handle with varying degrees of success. Next, Spider-Man Homecoming slip-up. Peter Parker, played by Tom Holland, had his own adventure in Spider-Man Homecoming after making his debut in Captain America Civil War. And to better integrate the character into the MCU, Marvel Studios included a prologue describing the origin of the film's principal villain, Adrian Toomes/Vulture, played by Michael Keaton. The flashback takes place 4 years before the events of Homecoming, following the Battle of New York in the Avengers, establishing Toomes as a blue-collar worker who owns a business that clears up the wreckage left behind by the Earth's mightiest heroes. Unfortunately, the title card for the picture reads 8 years later, which isn't correct. When it comes to continuity blunders and snuffists, Marvel Studios always comes up with an answer, but there's no way to explain this one. The directors of Avengers Endgame, Joey and Anthony Russo, labeled it incorrect. Meanwhile, Marvel Studios quietly corrected the area when they issued a year-by-year breakdown of their films, clarifying that Homecoming was set 4 years after the Avengers. Next, we have the Guardians of the Galaxy mistake. The Guardians of the Galaxy 2 post-credit scenes prove the most joyful theory. Stan Lee, the guy behind the comics, was a vital component of every Marvel film. Lee is in a different world with a species known as the Watchers in it. He's talking about his multiple appearances in Marvel films. Some believe he became a Watcher as a result of this. However, one blunder was made. Lee alludes to his experience as a FedEx driver, which is depicted in the 2016 film Captain America Civil War. However, the sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy takes place in 2014. Next, Kevin Feige wanted to take back Thor's dyed eyebrows. Kevin Feige, the MCU's architect, is quickly pleased of what they have accomplished at Marvel Studios. However, as Infinity Saga came to a close in 2018, he was asked some retrospective questions, including if he had any regrets about the franchise's history, except for coloring Chris Hemsworth's eyebrows blonde in the first Thor picture. Feige said he's delighted with all the creative decisions made in the last decade. The fundamental reason for this decision, he added, was that the God of Thunder is blonde and they decided his eyebrows should match. Thor's appearance as a character has gone through several phases over the years. Fans are already wondering if Thor will keep the weight he gained in Avengers Endgame when he returns in Taika Waititi's Thor Love and Thunder. At very least, the MCU Thor will never have blonde eyebrows again. Now, the Avengers Age of Ultron era. Thanos obtaining the Infinity Gauntlet was depicted in a post-credit scene in 2015's The Avengers Age of Ultron. Thanos is said to have gotten the gauntlet from the dwarf homeworld Nidavellir. Thanos fled Nidavellir, killing everyone but Eitri, as we learned in Avengers Infinity War. The interval between the destruction of Nidavellir and Thor's visit is 3 years. Is that to say, Eitri has been wandering the deserted world for 3 years with his hands shackled in metal? Next up, Stan Lee's Guardians Volume 2 cameo made no sense. Stan Lee's cameos in MCU flicks were a hit with everyone. Stan Lee's cameo as an astronaut delivering a story to the watchers of all his cameos went out of the timeline in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. All up to my era because Guardians of the Galaxy 2 technically happens in 2014, which is before Infinity War, director James Gunn remarked, "That time I was a FedEx person," Stan Lee adds in the film, referring to his role in the Civil War. "I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking, but I'm going to suggest that Stan Lee most likely disguised himself as a FedEx delivery man more than once. This error was minor, but many fans definitely noticed it right away." Next, Avenger Endgame, Cap's broken shield suddenly fixed. Only the most observant fan would watch Marvel Studios' minor blunder at the end of the Infinity storyline. Following the moment where Thanos splits Cap's shields in half with his Infinity Blade during their fight, the studio made a little error that went missed by many. When the Dusty hero arrives via the portals and the team assembles in front of the Mad Titans army, the damaged shield returns to its previous state. Next, Cap's shield. The next error was small, you might have missed it, but some dedicated Marvel fans couldn't help but notice. Captain Steve Rogers' shield is constructed of vibranium, one of the strongest known metals in Marvel Comics. Cap's shield has certainly been through a lot, with the ability to absorb grenades and fall shocks. The shield, on the other hand, appears to be of no value in Captain America Winter Soldier when Cap confronts Batroc, a physically fit but otherwise regular dude. Instead of maintaining the hit and fracturing every bone in his fist, he punches Cap's shield barehanded, pushing Cap backwards. Next up, Guardians of the Galaxy, improv or accident. What many fans of the MCU may be unaware of is that plenty of scenes in the Guardians of the Galaxy were improvised, it turns out. It's most likely due to Chris Pratt's reputation for improvising his scenes while filming. The Collector, who offers up an orb taken from planet Morag, is introduced to Star-Lord and his Guardians in the first GOTG. Surprisingly, he forgets about it. He had no idea he was carrying an Infinity Stone at the moment. Is this improvised or unintentional? It turns out that the sequence wasn't staged and that Chris Pratt made an honest mistake. However, the director liked the take and opted to preserve it in the final version of GOTG because it was, well, humorous. Set in New York? When a film is set in NYC, the producers often shoot in Toronto because obtaining filming permits in the city is difficult. Furthermore, shooting in Toronto allows for lower production expenses, but we're not fooled. Are we expected to assume Toronto is a doppelganger for New York when all the buildings and landmarks bear no resemblance to the Big Apple? Toronto is used as New York City by the MCU as well. For example, the fight scene in The Incredible Hulk is intended to take place in New York, but someone must have dropped the ball when it came to disguising the actual location, Toronto, which happened twice. The major fight that took place between the Hulk and the Abomination goes down in front of the Zanzibar, a club on Yonge Street in Toronto. Police cars are tagged with the New York City Police insignia, while a police car marked with Toronto may be seen in a later image. Now, Iron Man 3, the plane windows. In Iron Man 3, a bad guy rips a hole in Air Force One, allowing 13 individuals to plummet to their deaths. Air Force One, of course, is the President of the United States' personal aircraft. To safeguard the President, the jet is outfitted with strong security measures, including bulletproof windows. However, either someone on set neglected to fact-check this fact or the producers simply ignored it. This could be a mistake, or it could simply be a product of Marvel's imagination. After all, the movies are packed with unusual events, so it's possible that this one falls into that category. Lastly, Incredible Hulk era that was unnoticed. There's a mistake that should have been obvious at one time in this film, which wasn't one of Marvel's better efforts. Unfortunately, it remained unreported, and while it has no effect on the overall atmosphere of the picture, it creates the sense that the editor simply didn't care enough to correct this little flaw. When Bruce has to get his wallet quickly, he walks over to where his wallet has been left open with his money peeking out. Money is suddenly out and ready for use when the scene pans away from him for a brief second and then returns the wallet. A tiny error, but something that was definitely noticeable to viewers. And there you have it, everything you need to know about mistakes that made their way into the movies. Make sure to let us know your thoughts down below on all this. Which one of these mistakes was the most obvious? Were you aware of any of these errors? Let us know. But if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss any of our new and upcoming content. We'll catch you on the next one.